Hi everyone, my name is Scott, and today I would like to give a little introduction about figurative language in English. And today we'll be focusing on similes and metaphors. These are two very basic ideas in terms of figurative languages in English. So, language is not always used literally. What does it mean by that? So when we say a word or a sentence, we doesn't always necessarily mean what we want to mean, like on the words, because when people communicate, we often make comparisons to make our ideas to be more vivid and interesting. That kind of makes sense, right? If imagine imagine seeing someone speaking like very boring, then you don't want to hear anymore, right? Like for example, we have two sentences below. He runs like the wind. Like a person can't like a wind, right? It only means that the person runs very fast. In the second one, the classroom was a zoo. Classroom is never a zoo. Instead, we're trying to say that the classroom was noisy and is chaos. Because neither of those sentences should be understood literally. Well, very clearly, these are examples of figurative language, which helps readers create mental images and understand ideas more effectively. And yeah, today our focus, like I said, will be similes and metaphors. So first thing first, what is a simile? It is a figure of speech that compares two different things using words like and as. Like I would say these are like comparing words. The purpose of a simile is to highlight a shared characteristic between two things. So let's take let's look at the example below. He runs like the wind. So we have the subject he, the object the wind, and the comparing word like. So in this sentence, we are trying to compare he and the wind by using the comparing word like. So have a think. Does the boy really become a wind? Of course not, right? The sentence is only trying to say that the boy's speed is trying to say that the boy is running so fast as like the speed of the wind, which is very fast. In the second example, he is as busy as a bee. So bees are constantly working. They are I would say usually busy. So we are comparing she and a bee, which we are trying to say that she is very busy and keep working. So the key feature of a simile is that in a simile sentence there will be comparing words. These are two most commonly used words, like and as. But please be aware that not every sentence containing those words is a simile. Like I said, you have to figure out if the sentence is trying to compare two things or it is just trying to bring out the literal meaning. So let's do a little activity down there to decide whether the following two sentences is a simile or not. So first one, the baby slept like a log. So the answer is because we're trying. So we have the subject, the baby, the object, the log. We're trying to say that the baby slept so peacefully, is sleeping real well. In the second one, I like chocolate ice cream. And some of you might say like, oh, there's a comparing word like, so it is. Well, unfortunately, the answer here is a no, because I'm using the word like just because I want to mean enjoy, Like I literally trying to say that I literally enjoy chocolate ice cream. So in this case, it is not a simile. Yep. And if that's okay, we now moving on to the second part, which is metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that compares two things directly without using comparing words like or as. So unlike the unlike simile, metaphor metaphor in sentences doesn't use comparing words. Instead, we use statement sentences, which is very direct and clear. A metaphor states that one thing is another thing in order to emphasize a particular quality. We are trying to bring out the subject. So, for example, sentence 1, the classroom was a zoo. So this is the subject, right? So, sorry. Yeah, this is the classroom. And we have the object, zoo. Here, we're trying to compare classroom and zoo to bring out the fact that the classroom is noisy. Because, to be honest, classroom is not the zoo, right? Like, in reality, we're just trying to say that the classroom was noisy and chaotic. And the second example, I think many of you might have heard about already. Time is money. So have a think. Imagine I go to an ice cream shop. Can I literally use time to pay for my ice cream? Of course no, right? So the subject here is the time and the object is the money. We're trying to bring out the importance of money, the quality of money, to emphasize the fact that time is valuable. Yeah, as we said, time is valuable. Example 3. Homework is a mountain. Subject and object. So homework is not and hopefully not will be a mountain. Instead, we are trying to say that the amount of homework is overwhelming. We are using the idea of mountain, trying to emphasize the idea that the amount of homework is crazy. Alrighty, if that's okay, then let's do a little activity to spot the metaphor. So we have the sentence here, my brother is a couch potato. Well, the answer I would say is pretty obvious. So we have the subject, my brother, and the object, a couch potato. So a couch potato means that we usually use the idiom couch potato to trying to describe that the person is lazy, because couch, like when we're sitting on a couch, we seem to be lazy, right? So we're trying to express that my brother is lazy in the sentence by borrowing the idea of couch potato. Alrighty, having said that, I think you already have some basic ideas of simile and metaphor. However, there are significant differences between these two figurative languages. So in terms of wording, in simile, we use comparing words like the word like or as. These are two basically the same word. But in metaphor, we don't use these words. We only use very direct sentences. And secondly, in simile, the comparison is explicit because there will be comparing words. But the comparison is kind of more indirect. However, in metaphor, the comparison is direct. but implicit because it doesn't contain any comparing words. For example, he is like a lion. This is a simile because there's a comparing word like, and it's not that direct because you have to kind of link the idea of he and lion to kind of like to make sense of the connections between these two things. But in a metaphor, you see, he is a lion. It is very direct. But you have to have a think that what does it mean to be he is a lion? So yeah, I didn't write the answer here. So these two sentences both are trying to say that maybe that the person doesn't seem to be so nice because you never see a nice looking lion, right? Yep, and the next activity is for you to decide whether the following sentences are similes or metaphors. The first one, they empty out trains during rush hours were sardine cans. So if we want to make decisions, so first thing first, see if there will be any comparing words. In this example, there isn't any. And the subject, the empty out trains during rush hours, and the object sardine cans. Sardine cans are kind of like crowded, right? Because we are trying to like pack as much as we have into like the little can. So which means that the MPR trains during rush hours were very crowded. And the second example, my school bag is as heavy as a rock. So we have comparing words here in this sentence. My school bag, rock, both of these terms trying to say heavy. So in this sentence, we're trying to say that my school bag is very heavy. So it is a simile. Next, after finishing all my homework, I felt like a zombie. So we have comparing words like, and the fact that after I finished all my homework. Like, I think most of us, when we finish our homework, we feel very tired, right? Just like zombies, like a person without the soul and tired is like a zombie. It is trying to say that after finishing all my homework, I am very, very exhausted. And it is a simile. Example 4, after the long weekend, I was full of sunshine. Well, there isn't any comparing words here, but have a think, what does it have to do between me and the sunshine? I am not the sunshine, right? But if we understand the idea after the long weekend, because during the weekends, we might go hang out with friends and we go playing or and we did something that we enjoy. And in this sentence, we're trying to say that after the long weekend, I am very refreshed and energetic and happy. So let's think about why writers use similes and metaphors. So we use these figurative languages to create first and foremost create vivid imagery, because if we compare things together, readers can easily have a think or like to have some kind of thinking or imagery in their head, trying to understand what we're saying. And secondly, to make descriptions more interesting, rather than just stating something direct, we use figurative languages to make it more interesting so that the readers won't be feeling bored. And besides, it helps readers understand ideas, like I said. And last but not least, we're trying to express emotions more effectively. So, think about it. If Like, the classroom was noisy. This sentence is perfectly fine and correct, but if I want to make it a bit more imagery or interesting, I would say the classroom was a zoo. These two sentences brings bring the same meanings, but the second one have more interesting factors and imagery in terms of um, ideas and meaning. And now I would like to leave it to you. Try to create your own simile and metaphor on your own time. You can pause the video. Yep, I'm going to move on. I have one more example here. The water was as cold as ice. This is just trying to say that the water was so cold. Okay, that reaches the end. Today we have learned similes, trying to compare two things, and there will be comparing words and metaphors. Same comparing two things, but won't be any comparing words. Both similes and metaphors are important forms of figurative language because they help writers create stronger descriptions and more engaging texts. Alright, that's it for today, and I hope you have enjoyed this little lesson. Yep, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.